Good morning. I'm Kevin Ryan and welcome to Good Morning Nampa. Great to be here this morning and nice to see you all. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Barbara Smith and she's currently written a book entitled That's Where It's At, A Guide to Awkward Touching. So it sounds very interesting and looking forward to speaking with her more right now. So please, if you would give a round of applause for Dr. Barbara Smith.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, Barbara. Thank you for being with us today. So, please tell us about your book.
Well, yes. My book is called That's Where It's At, A Guide to Awkward Touching. And what I tell most people is it's much more than a book. I actually have a speaking tour right now. But let me tell you a little bit about what it's about. So the idea behind AT, it started with a common handshake. And during my studies, I am a doctorate. I have a doctorate. And during my studies, my thesis paper was about nonverbal communications in the middle class. And one of the things that was included was the handshake. And that kind of started me off on how we contact people and how we have connections with people. So AT is really about connecting with people. And what I have found with awkward touching is it's really a revolutionary new way to connect with people.
Great. So how did you come about this? What drew you to this conclusion and these results? And how has that affected people?
Maybe it should really start with an example. An example of awkward touching. You try to hug someone, it doesn't quite work out, you end up hitting them in the jaw, for instance. You know, it's easy for us to see that as a social failure, but what I have found is awkward touching actually promotes a kind of vulnerability, and as we all know, vulnerability is necessary for forming deep connections.
So, can you demonstrate an example of awkward touching?
Okay, so we're going to be demonstrating first traditional handshake. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How does that make you feel?
Comfortable, fine. Yep. Great.
What we found is that actually gives you an opportunity to keep the status quo. You know, the comfortability is part of being able to wear a mask, really. So let me show and demonstrate an instance of awkward touching.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Now, how did that make you feel?
Awkward, but
do you feel more open, more
a little
vulnerable?
Bit, yes. A little vulnerable, yes, it does. It does make me feel vulnerable.
Great.
But yeah, thank you for that example.
Good.
Yeah, great. So, can you give me a testimony of a couple or a relationship that has happened to where it's led to, you know, a more deeper relationship?
Oh, certainly, Kevin. I think the best example to use is myself. Originally, me and my husband, we used very traditional forms of touching, handshake, and so forth. But after we started implementing awkward touching, I would come up to him, instead of giving him a hug, I would maybe put my hand on his forehead. What happens is the person is taken off guard, which at first could seem awkward, it can feel uncomfortable, but what we found is that promotes a kind of vulnerability that's really important for sharing and for really letting the other person know who you are.
So how has your husband responded to that? Has it given you both a deeper relationship, and have you tried it with your friends? How is that?
Great question, Kevin. Yeah, actually, at first, like I said, my husband was a little bit uncomfortable, but I think he's gotten used to it, and I have actually noticed him instituting some instances of awkward touching with his own friends, which it just makes me so happy to see that. And, you know, really, these types of mistakes that we make socially, it's not an accident, it's not a failure, it's us sharing part of ourselves, and part of ourselves is those mistakes we make, and that's why we encourage awkward touching.
So Dr. Smith, I hear that we have a clip of someone giving their testimony about this awkward touching. So let's take a look. Hi, I'm Declan Blackwell, and I'm here to give a testimony of Dr. Smith's book on awkward touching, and I'm privileged to be a part of this show and supporting her in her book. And I really am excited about the concept of awkward touching. It has grown me in many ways. I remember it was about 3 or 4 years ago that I met Dr. Smith in her office, and we talked about the issues of being able to relate with others. And I was blown away by this new concept of awkward touching, and it's helped me grow in many ways. And I can't imagine it not being in my life, and being able to share it with others and help them be able to connect with others as well on a deeper level. When you reach out your hand, or you give a hug, or you give a kiss, so it makes relationships much stronger. So my experience with awkward touching, and one of the major ones that has really action that has kept me, or I'm excited to do, is just kind of just grabbing someone's chest and just holding my hand on their heart. It's just, even though it's awkward for them at first, it just shows that I care and I want to reach out to them. And so and I did that with my wife. Actually, this is how I met her. I was at a bar, and I just was just hanging out, and all of a sudden I just saw her, and I just wanted to reach out to her, and I did. And it was awkward, but she didn't slap me. She accepted it, but she must have known or something. But yeah, it was great, really good. I'm so glad I met my wife, and I just owe it all to Dr. Smith. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, hearing that testimony is very powerful, and I hope that a lot of people out there who have heard this today will be able to be open, and to be able to be willing to reach out, as you have helped so many people. So thank you again for being on our show. We are very glad to have you on it, and we hope you come back again. Before you leave, though, if you could please let us know how our audience and how all the viewers can get a hold of your book, and where they can contact you if they have any questions or are interested in meeting up with you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been an amazing experience, and I can't thank you enough for having me on the show. And I just hope that this message can get out more through my book. Again, That's Where It's At, A Guide to Awkward Touching. And also, I'm going to be having a speaking tour starting next month, hitting a lot of the major cities across the U.S., so I hope to see many of you there. Also, you can reach us at awkwardtouching.net. So I really look forward to hearing you, or giving you an awkward handshake. Thank you so much.
Again, here's Dr. Smith's book, That's Where It's At, A Guide to Awkward Touching. And you can purchase it at, again, her website is awkwardtouching.net.